Good morning. Delighted to be here. I'm not sure whether it's a quirk of scheduling or just fortuitous, but on St. Patrick's Day, it seems appropriate that GreenBone is presenting, so thank you. I am chairman and interim CEO, so in a sense, I'm pitch hitting today, and if anybody has any questions at the end, I'd be glad to try, but I can always fill in later. As most of you are aware, the bone replacement market is essentially that segment of the market, of the orthopedic market, that attempts to try and reproduce, replace, repair damaged bone, absent bone. The segment that we're most interested in today is the synthetic bone substitute market, and as you know, that's really characterized by a series of calcium phosphate hydroxyapatite products. The primary indications for our product are in the treatment of non-unions and malunions of long bones, a significant problem where you're dealing with roughly 250,000 potential procedures a year. In addition, where you're dealing with instrumented spinal fusions, assistance is required in the form of synthetics to assist the function, to assist the fusion. And then obviously throughout the body there's a large number of other alternative applications. GreenBone is unique in that what we are doing is mimicking nature. So I apologize for a little bit of a busy slide, but we start, interestingly, with wood. Rattan wood, which is essentially a form of bamboo. And the beauty of this is that the wood comes with large longitudinal pores throughout the structure. And we take this wood, literally cut it, machine it, and then going through a fairly sophisticated and complex process, we take the wood, we carbonize it, and then we take that carbon and ultimately produce hydroxyapatite, and through a substitution from calcium carbonate. The advantage of this process is that you finish up with an implant that is essentially identical to your starting material, i.e. the wood. So the large pores and the longitudinal pores that you really want to have are reproduced in the final product. The other advantage is that by so doing this process, you really don't need high temperature sintering. And as a result, the material is highly bioactive and also much more forgiving to the surgeon. It is not a fragile ceramic in that sense. It's a much more able to take a screw or some form of manipulation. So we look at this as the advantages over existing materials is, as I say, we do have a unique three-dimensional architecture. This lack of sintering gives us a very interesting and proven bioactive surface. And then the surgeons seem to like it because it's much easier to handle. And obviously, it is cheaper and much less invasive than both BMPs and autografts, which are the kind of gold standards. Going back a little bit, this material has been studied extensively in animals. In Italy, and the first studies were in rabbits, and the second study is the much more critical animal defect model was in sheep. And the results indicated very good, complete mineralization of the new bone and over a period of approximately 12 months. Our product line is full of both cylinders, essentially large different length cylinders that we can provide, and then wedges and blocks that can be used in different situations, as well as granules. The product is CE marked in Europe, and is right now, we're completing the 510K for the US. So we're kind of doing things in a little bit different than some companies right now. We're really focused on Europe. Excuse me. And so our clinical studies to date have been focused in the first case on iliac crest reconstruction, where we are going back in where an autograft has been taken from the iliac crest after a reconstructive procedure. And you can see, I think, I can't see here, but you can see in the center picture at 12 months, very nice integration, essentially bone growing into the implant from the bottom and the top in a very encouraging fashion. We've extended that to doing another study on long bones, so these can be tibias, femurs, radii, and humerus. And essentially these become much more complex cases. In this case, you're dealing with additional adjunct fixation, be it a plate, external fixation, a rod, what have you. And again, you can see here where the implant has been used in conjunction for a non-union on the left-hand side and essentially on the radius. And you can see that very nice integration. And then on the right side for a tibial non-union. So these are difficult cases, and our results to date have been very encouraging. And we've been conducting these studies in the UK, Germany, Switzerland, and Italy, which has been obviously fairly challenging given the pandemic. So as a highlight of the company, somewhat surprisingly, we are well funded. You don't hear that too often. And our focus this year is really on getting sales started in the UK and Italy. The UK is becoming more challenging for fairly obvious reasons with Brexit, but we're working through those, and we expect to launch within the next certainly a couple of weeks. Italy obviously is our home base, and there we are using a distributor to provide the product. Next year, expanding into other of the big five in Europe. Our plans in the US obviously depend upon the 510K, but we will be launching at some point in the US either with or without a partner. But that's really our focus right now is on Europe. And on the bottom, you can see nicely our facility, which is kind of halfway between Verona and Milan. Our team is experienced. Not surprisingly, given our location, we've stolen a number of people from Orthofix Italy, which is quite close, but we have an experienced team who are handling the key factors. In addition, our scientific advisor, Anna Tempieri, was the originator of the technology and still very closely involved with the company. Our board of directors is essentially who's who of Italian funding, venture capital, in addition to myself as an independent originally, and Diogo Moreira Rato, who some of you may know from his past time at Smith & Nephew and J&J. And then in addition, we have added to that a very strong clinical advisory board, which we'll be adding to and changing over a period, obviously. So that's GreenBone. Anybody has any questions, please feel free to catch me either just after this or during the rest of the conference. Thank you very much.